Hi and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann and today we're block print stamping with acrylic paint. Block print stamps are beautiful carved wooden stamps that give a fabulous handcrafted effect. And you can see this really sweet little fox here on the front of my card. Well, this has been stamped with a hand carved wooden stamp from Blockwallah. It's a super easy technique to do and a lot of fun, so let me show you how. First, I'm going to start with a surface on which to put my stamping paper and cardstock. So I've got a piece of plain white cardstock and I've placed it on top of a computer mouse pad. Yes, they still make them. And this is going to provide me with a lot of nice leverage and flexibility because unlike a clear acrylic stamp or a red rubber stamp, your wooden stamps, your carved wooden stamps are not going to have that same type of give that you really do need to have for good impressions. So the times that I've been unsuccessful with block print stamping is when I haven't used a mouse pad. Now you can also use an ironing board or you can put a towel underneath too if that works for you. So then the next thing I want to do is get some acrylic paint. Now you can use just about any brand of acrylic paint. I'm using Paper Artsy's Fresco Finish Chalk Acrylic in London Bus, and this is going to work just beautifully for what I need. So I'm going to shake it up a little bit, and I'm using my craft sheet here as a palette, and I'll just squeeze out a little bit of this paint onto my palette. Now you don't want to squeeze the paint directly onto your stamp because as you can notice there are lots of really beautiful intricate areas on there. If you squeeze the paint right through here, it's just going to get into those detail areas. So instead, take a cosmetic wedge or a sponge and just dip that in and apply this to the stamp. So you want to apply enough so that you're getting good coverage, not so much that you're flooding the stamp. That's really going to be the trick. And then all you need to do is just position it where you want it on your cardstock and press and then lift, and you have a beautiful design right away. Now I could leave this as it is. I wanted to color it in with another paint, so I've got one piece that's already dry. This will dry really quickly though because it's such fine lines. So here's my dried piece. And I wanted to color in this little fox using a little bit of the Mermaid Fresco Finish. Now, you'll notice down here there's a little tiny word that says opaque, and that means that this has really high coverage. And you'll want to be pretty careful about coloring in because it is such a high coverage that you can end up obliterating your beautiful fine lines. So instead what I'll do is take some water and I'm going to spritz it onto my mat, close to, but not into my puddle of mermaid. Now you can use a fine tip paintbrush. I'm using a water brush. Normally what you do is fill the barrel of this with water and then squeeze as you're moving the tip around. In this case, I'm going to just have the water on my craft sheet. I'm using the water brush rather than a paintbrush because I really like the tip. This is a perfect tip for me to get into some of those fine detail areas. Now I'm just picking up a little bit of the mermaid and mixing it with that water so that I get a nice watery effect. And you can also then use a baby wipe to kind of tap off any excess, kind of blot it off so that when you come in, you're actually just adding a little bit of color without covering up or smearing any of your other lines. And there may be areas that you have that you want to add a bit more or stronger color to. So I'll just come in and paint through the rest of this area here on my little fox. The block of wood that the stamp is carved from is an Indian rosewood, so it's a really sustainable hard wood, and it's designed so that, or it's chosen because it can easily be carved into, and yet it's still really sturdy. But you may have been looking at the stamp thinking, that's a big, block. It's actually really lightweight and very easy to handle. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't know if that's a bit unwieldy, trust me, it's actually really, really easy to handle. Very easy to handle, actually. So I'm just going to be painting in some of these areas here, and then I will be done with my little fox. So there we have him. And then I can go ahead and mount him up onto some cardstock. So I'll move him aside and bring in my finished card here. I'll get my mouse pad out of the way. So you can see I've just mounted him up onto red, then teal and black. I've added a little stamp sentiment down here, so happy for you. This is a stamp from a company called Waffle Flower. So 2 fun words, 2 fun names in this segment. And that's a so happy for you. Great small font on here to match the delicacy of this little fox. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you, because I did originally paint the fox and stamp him in brown, and this is brown shed, also paper artsy paint, and then he's painted in with watery brown shed, so kind of a tone-on-tone effect, but the exact same layout, same stamp, just a slightly different color palette on the stamp and also on the background papers. So this is how you can use block print stamping with acrylic paints to create some really fun card focals. I hope you enjoyed today's show. For more ideas and inspiration, please stop by my website at saranaumann.com. If you enjoyed today's video, I invite you to subscribe to Studio SN on YouTube, and I'll keep you updated with a new video at the first of every month. Thank you for joining me on Studio SN, and I'll see you again next time.